Hello everyone, I'm Sidival, and today we continue reading World and Economica, episode 2. Um, so, in previous stream, we seen how Haru, his new work, or our current work, we also see what he kinda changed. Um, Obviously, he's still afraid to trade, and he also, at least he don't think it's a good idea. Mm, but he's still using his knowledge, his intuition. Well, probably more knowledge than intuition, or maybe both, for his current work when he helping decide who deserve money and who not for financial support or something like this. Mm, well, it's mostly for companies. But yeah, we also meet his supervisor or colleague, um, a little naive, but I guess kind person. Hmm. But yeah, anyway, so after work, he is returning to the church, to the Chris party, and I guess let's just continue reading. I went to buy some alcohol from a general store that knew my face nearly the church. When I returned, the silence felt almost unreal. Silence. If everything, if people already left this party or something. Hmm. I pushed the Averager door, bearing a note that read the joy of the faith is open to all, a bit more open. The sun had set, and it was not difficult to see inside the church. Because they were unable to pay their continuously escalating electricity bill, they only had one or two lights on. I could hear the sound of tableware being cleaned up. It probably meant Lisa was there. Goodness, your timing is bad. Okay, yeah, I guess everyone already left. Left. Hmm, well, this room kinda a little bit similar to I guess kitchen and the church what we see in the first episode. Well, I guess only a little similar. It just there is kitchen and there is table, just flipped. I mean, obviously it's a much less it less nicely when previous room, previous church, but still, it's actually not look really bad. Mm, Anyway, as I appeared suddenly, her sleeves were rolled up, maybe because she was still in the middle of cleaning up the place. Quits already? Of course not. They were making too much of mess, so I had them go to a bar outside for the time being. I also had to make arrangements for the food and drinks. Here, I brought you a present. Thanks. Can you put it over there? Hmm. Empty bottles and garbage filled the kitchen. After putting the alcohol on the sink, I rolled up my sleeves and picked up a case of empty bottles under my arm. You can just have a seat. I'll help. I'll help. Really? Then can you take the door to the storage room? Anywhere is fine? Yes, please. The storage room actually referred to the apartment next door. It was donated to the church by a patron when the church was being set up. It seemed that Lisa had sold some rare books to a rich person from the lunar surface, and he had been really impressed by her activities. Hmm. Yes, so she is indeed sold her books. Well, we already learned it, I believe, in first stream. Um, anyway. A year and a half ago, he closed up the shop on the lunar surface and returned to Earth. But he left her two flats in his apartment building as a parting gift. He called out to me abruptly as I was about to bring the case of empty bottles to where she told me. Oh, what? There's someone praying in the church, so please keep quiet. Someone praying? Who? Is it some new character or someone who we already know? Already knew. Maybe it's Chris? But I don't remember if she prayed before. At least in the first episode. Maybe I just didn't pay attention. Praying? That's new. Okay, is it new? So it's probably not Chris. Hey now, people come now and then. Wow, to think there are people like that up here. This bores you? Not really. It's not like I'm trying to mark my territory. Hehe, men always think it's their roost when they stay for a while. Shrugged my shoulders at Lisa, then went off carrying the empty bottles. Since Lisa opened a church here, of course Christians would come to pray. It's just that people and Christians were a must to see a church on the lunar surface. When sorry. The lunar surface was on the other end of the sky, and because of its immense grid, the people on Earth had referred to it as a den of evil in a encyclical, meaning there were no official churches on the lunar surface. We only had devotees like Lisa, who threw prayers to God were necessary precisely because it was on den of evil. But now there was not persecution directed towards the church, it could not but pique people's interest. Moreover, there was no time for who's by busy making money to stop and pray quietly. The people who came to pray were probably the poor who lived around the area. They could have been fired and had time to kill. But it wasn't like praying would get you a job or anything. Long ago, a mean-spirited statistician gauged the average lifespan of monks. It turned out to be the same as normal people. I could understand the desire to rely on God in extreme situations tough. I understood, but I never find myself in a situation where I would never need to pray to God again. Most of the lights were off. I was somehow able to make it to the next room by relying on the lights flowing in from the outside windows. It seemed that some of the rooms were being used as boarding rooms, and people with nowhere else to go were still sheltered here. Everyone Lisa had watched over had just found work. She loved it that she was happy now, but also a bit lonely. Hmm. My shadow stretched down the dark corridor as I carried the empty bottles to the storage room. On the way I passed by the chapel Lisa mentioned. The candle bleed through the cracks of the slanted shutters of the walls of the room. Peering into the cracks unthinkingly, I saw a figure kneeling before the crucified Christ. A girl? She kept her hair long, and the hem of her skirt spread out as she knelt. She was praying quite earnestly, as she wasn't budging an inch. What could you be praying for so badly here on the moon? I feel that seeing glances at her would disrupt your prayer, so I tried my best to carry the bottle carefully, leaving them next to the storage room and going back. A devout Christian. I felt like I'd just seen a rare creature. So it was a girl. Hmm. Maybe it's a girl from the choir? Hmm. If so, kind of strange, I didn't expect to see her here. Hmm. Mostly because she at least look rich, or at least I think so. Hmm. But who knows? I just think she, what it's probably important character because it's girl. I don't know. The else kinda like girls and making games, so well, mostly just they don't have a lot of guys. And here we have only Geralt, I guess. Yeah, and then main character, but who's counting main character? Anyway, when I returned, Lisa was taking a break at the living room table. It's rare to see a serious visitor. She responded to my words with an describable expression similar to a bright smile. However, she still refilled an empty metal cup with tea and placed it in front of an empty chair. You would be hard pressed to find an our church with such devout followers here on the lunar surface. So funny that you can wear that without anyone getting angry. I pulled out the chair, sat and drank the tea Lisa poured for me. It was the Chinese type of fermented tea. It had a slightly bitter taste. Well, they got angry quite often on Earth. Lisa had returned to Earth for two reasons: to dispose of her rare books, and to acquire funds and find personnel in order to set up a church on the lunar surface. Hmm. Well, kinda strange. Why she sold her books on Earth? You kinda expect they when being a little more, um, well, pricely for collectioners or something. Let me check if I pronounced it correctly. Uh, yeah, of course, collector. Okay. Okay. For some reason, I just mostly with word collector doing about money collectors. I mean, hmm, actually, maybe it's misremembering things from Russian. Anyway, doesn't matter. So yeah, kind of strange why there is she decided to sell them on Earth because I kind of expect these books already should be on Earth, but then on lunar surface maybe some collectors who want these books. Well, maybe I'm wrong. But again, we was told that there is not a lot of Christians on the moon, or at least believers. Is it right? I mean, let's say religious people. Um, yeah. Hmm. Anyway, seemed like it really had been a stormy ride. It was because of the papal encyclical, but not just that. There were many different sects just within Christianity, and there were people who felt that churches themselves should be gone. Hmm. Regardless, there were countless different faiths on Earth, yet next to no organization or religious structures were present on the moon. The reason could be summed up in the old mafia movie catchphrase. So, I still love mafia movies, as we can see. Gets in the way of business. The only faiths here were those that did not foolishly bring a sole promise from Earth to the lunar surface. Money resources shouldn't be wasted on the kind of problems which hadn't been solved in our the 2000 years. This is an extremely pragmatic way of thinking. So you could say that Lisa was nuisance for most people on the lunar surface. He liked it and said it felt like it had gone back to the times of the fathers of the church. Hmm? I finally understood the meaning behind that after some studying. So, you're wearing this just to spite them? I'd rather you say it show my determination. Is being able to say that with such composure was like gravity, unfaltering and on the lunar surface, powerful and massive. Amazing. Huh? I said amazing. It stared at me absent-mindedly, and then unnaturally looked all around the place. What was it that weird? What was it that weird? To think I'd be complimented by Hal. What a surprise! It's amazing, being able to stay faithful to your beliefs here on the lunar surface. I said that while staring out of the window. Did something happen? When I looked back over at Lisa, she was chuckling as she peered into her steaming cup. It's very much like Lisa to not let her worries show. It's nothing. Nothing? Yeah, nothing. Answered, then continued. Nothing at all. Nothing, you see? Lost my dreams, the girl I went hand in hand with, and was trying to at least cling on to the sentimental notion of being a champion of justice. I understood that it was nothing but a cheap facade. If I wanted to be a real champion of justice, then I go along with Rena, put my seal of approval on the application from the Woods immigrants couples, and hand it off to our superiors. Yet, what came out of my mouth were pointless rules and principles. And if you ask me why I said it, it was because I was afraid. I was afraid to make decisions by myself. Afraid I might make a mistake again. But yeah, obviously he is still really hard. But by end of first episode, afraid I might hurt someone again. Afraid I might lose something important again. This is why I felt that maybe I could at least be able to help people who are struggling. As I've stated, he didn't participate in the race and just gave a little first aid to the injured. He probably wouldn't collide with anyone. There was no monster waiting around the curve to steal away everything you have. All responsibility I had trust onto him came from my own fears. Looked at my right hand resting on the table. It had become stiff like a severed piece of meat, but it didn't spasm. The very thought of moving was that prevented me from moving. I felt again as if my heart was being grasped by necrosis, completely powerless and supine. I don't know this word. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, actually, don't think I'm ever heard it. Not sure how it's pronounced. Anyway. Oh, at least I'm here, you know? It was short, but that one prize held so much meaning. I lowered my head as I felt something like embarrassment. I was probably happy, and a bit relieved. Then, at that opportune time, there came a light knock on the church door. So, are we gonna meet this person? There were a few who would know on that open door. Hello. Alisa answered. Chris, with her disheveled blonde hair, was standing on the other side of the dark corridor. Okay, it's Chris. Not this mysterious person. I mean, I guess maybe she not important. I'm back. As if responding to a timid answer, Lisa gave a bright smile before she got up from her chair and went to the sink to rinse out her cup. She dropped in some cubes from the freezer and filled it once more with water. The ice made a pleasant cracking sound. Hmm. Here's some water. Oh, thanks. The Ronald seemed to be something out of place with Chris. However, this time, clothes was shabby, as she had bits of food and traces of drinks spilled all over them. You got your clothes dirty. Come on, think that and go change. Wolf, phew. Okay, I'll go do it. Was it that crazy over there? Chris closed her eyes and looked like she was trying to get a burp out. Then, after drinking another mouthful of water, she let one out. So much so that Cyril did not come out of the bathroom. Huh? Okay. He didn't? That's quite something. I'd rather not call them back here. Hehe. Chris laughed cheerfully. Then she was probably drunk. Chris looked at Chris in this state, laughed in disbelief. Come on, go and change. Okay, thanks for the water. Chris put the cup down and shakily made her way towards her room. Chris was living with Lisa here. She stayed with my family when Lisa was down on earth, but I had to move to a dorm when I became a work scholarship student. So when Lisa set up the church here, Chris moved into it. Hmm, interesting. So Chris and Haru lived together for some time. I mean, we already know what she really helped him. Hmm. She said she was going to live in a dorm when she got into college, so as to no longer to be a bother to Lisa. But she hadn't brought it up lately, so Lisa had probably convinced her not to leave. This was Lisa. She got lonely and liked looking after people. If I call back the drugs, everything will be a mess again. It feels like I've been cleaning up since the morning. It's like trying to make a beautiful picture in the sand, or the waves break on the storm, on the shore. Thought she silent as she said that. She didn't look like she disliked it at all. Lisa had a big heart that accepted anything. But that was precisely why I couldn't bring myself to tell her everything. Alright, now to finish this up. Anything I can help with? When asked, Lisa shrugged a bit as she put the kettle on the portable burner next to the sink. There is. What? Be here as much as you can tomorrow. Hmm? Okay, she have kinda interesting smile. Lisa standing in front of the sink. When I looked at her with half-closed eyes, stuck out a bit of her tongue and turned away. Well, that wasn't actually a joke. I just had being the only sober one here. I got it. I thought you'd say so. They smiled for a moment. Then I'm going to throw out the trash and check out the bar a bit. So pour some tea once it boils. Okay. Also. No, it's nothing. It's fine. Liz louted it off as she put cups out on the table, then carried out the garbage bag with both hands. I looked at the kettle as it made a small sputtering sound, and noticed something unusual on the table. Hmm? Two cups? I had my own here. One of the cups was one of the pretty ceramic ones used for guests. So we gonna meet the person. Nice. As I started that, we visited the door in my line of sight, connected to the next room, slowly opened. Ah, it's actually her. I definitely was thinking we're gonna meet her I don't know. Well, probably not in school science. I don't know. I was thinking it's gonna be again connected with market or something, at least with money. Hmm. After all, because Haru needs some reason to return to making money or something like this. Well, since this is this we don't know his title is World End Economica, so we kind of expect Haru still doing something with market or something like this. Hmm. So yeah, I kind of expect what he need reason. Hmm. But then again, maybe we still can give him a reason. Just it's still kind of strange uh, meeting her here. Hmm. I guess let's find out who she is. The girl who was praying earnestly in the chapel was there, with Chris in her change of clothes. Yes, she really looked as someone rich. She had shimmered long platinum blonde hair, and nodded her head in a small nod when I poured her tea, unlike Chris. Her ornaments were very out of place in this church, or our, in this area. Also, her attire probably wasn't very appropriate for this place either. I had only seen her figure from behind when she was kneeling in the church, so all I knew that she was wearing a skirt. The outfit of this girl sitting across from me was almost like that of princess from an old European fairy tale. Wonderful. The voice which passed through her thin lips was clear, as as if it were filtered through crystals. Filtered through crystals? Oh, okay. The elegant way she held her cup was completely different from Chris, who sat next to her. However, his blonde princess, covered with smiles as she spoke to Chris, held her cup with both hands to drink her tea. Chris is a tea fanatic. The coffee was wonderful as well, I recall. I can't drink bitter coffee, though. The prince smiled elegantly at Chris when she scratched her shoulders and cringed as if she was drinking it right at that moment. This type of informal conversation wasn't something the bashful Chris could handle with a stranger. Hmm. I mean, maybe she's from Chris' college or something. Hmm. Is it was university or college? Not sure. Don't remember. Anyway, but given I was staring into my mobile terminal screen, I was in no position to criticize Chris' social conduct. I met the princess' gaze when I looked up. I had a feeling that I'd seen her face before, somewhere. Have we met before? The prince tilted her head to the side slightly. I chuckled when I asked, Ah, Chris tried to say something in a fluster, but she was gently stopped by a graceful gesture from the princess's white gloved hand. Chris closed her mouth, appearing a bit troubled at the small palm turning up at her. Would you happen to be Ishihara Kawaura? Oh yeah, it's actually his name. She inquired about my name from across the table. I know very well, but I had no emotional expression. But this time it wasn't because my face didn't move. I guess we must. I guess we must have met somewhere before. Not at all. Emlyn spoke, then drank her tea. Her refined demeanor made it difficult to find a way to question her. I do, however, know you. Actually, I had Chris here tell me. Ah, Chris shrank into her shoulders and looked at me warily. There is a reason for this, you see? I forced this to tell me. Sorry, I forced Chris to tell you. And so? Ah yes, I shall get it right to the point. The princess then finally looked over at Chris and smiled sweetly. That unnatural smile felt nothing but overbeating to me. Overbeating. Okay. The gesture was apparently aimed at making Chris agree with something. Yielding to the prince's smile, Chris was reduced to silence, and she slowly nodded. I have hoped to give you an invitation. My luck isn't that good, so if it's picnic, I'll have to decline. Certainly. However, there are more things in this world one can live without their legs. So if disconnected to market. I looked into her eyes fixedly, beautiful eyes like beds of glass. I mean, by the way, Haru should be a little bit um well, not popular, but what right or to say mm, famous, yeah. Well, at least in small circles or something. Maybe, well, famous maybe not the right word, mostly just known, because after all, he is take a second position in competition. So I'm pretty sure Barton shouldn't be only one who noticed him. Okay. I looked into her eyes fixedly. Beautiful eyes, like bits of glass. Uh, my name is Eleanor Schlick Schweitzer. That was quite an European sounding name, and I felt like I'd heard it before. Hmm, do we know this name? I'm not sure. Maybe. I wonder if we heard by it wasn't something we don't hear it at least that long, so it's probably with something from first episode. Hmm, maybe some of the companies what we learned from first episode, but I don't remember names. Hmm. Are you sure we haven't been somewhere before? I don't remember hearing that name before. I would I would have expected no less. Huh? Hmm. By the way, I also don't remember name of the guy who took first place in contest. But I believe um I believe it was a guy, but I'm not. Again, I'm not completely sure. I remember what Barton actually mentioned who it was. Hmm. Hmm. Ah, okay. So it was company. Um, is it perhaps a company name which you remember? Oh, yeah, it was a company name. Company has been in business for over six generations. Until yesterday, a company Schwitzer in its name, and it was part of the London Surface Stock Exchange. Until yesterday? Interesting. Schwitzer and Zelga. Why? I'm glad you remember that name. Leonard said that with a smile, but that smile hadn't managed to spread to her entire face. Thanks to my sense for names, I recalled it. They were a small investment bank. However, it is now no more. Eleanor's voice brought me back. Meaning? It was about using dirty, underhanded methods. Is this method somehow connected with Barton? When she appeared, smiling and with her head tilted, she was like a noble daughter who wasn't able to obtain a TC set at Sotheby's auction with her bid. However, without realizing it, Eleanor had expressed in her words what she was feeling. Saying it was bought pretty much mean it was a corporate acquisition. And there are many inhumane yet perfectly legal ways to buy a company. One could say it's just the victimness of fortune. It's just the vicissitudes of fortune. However, that was the last company which contained the Schweitzer name. Grandfather said that it is how things go, but I cannot accept that. While at least I am but a novice. I was tasked with its administration. I finally realized why I felt Leonor's smile was strained. It was her will, her determination. From her neck to shoulder to hand, everything moved smoothly and elegantly. I heard her deadly soft cheeks, but her eyes only were unmoving, like rubies inlaid in a pedestal. With one fluid movement, she took out that appeared to be a small bunch of papers from the bag beside her. Then next to it was a gold-rimmed fountain pen, something you rarely see on the lunar surface. To reclaim the honor of Schweitzer family, I must fight. For that reason, I require that which is considered power in this world. Thus, I have come to you with an invitation. So yeah, obviously, she wanted him to return to market or something, but obviously he not gonna agree. I believe there is just zero chance right now. He too traumatized, and there is not good reason, at least so far. But who knows? You say invitation, but when I was about to say I was nothing but a simple work scholarship student, Leonor smoothly extended her head out towards me over the table. My gaze pulled to it, as if I were a cat, feeling whose slender fingers and beautifully polished nails of hers. There was a check inscribed with the logo of E.G. Rochberg, the most prestigious banks on the lunar surface. I've seen the data from Ratzinger Economic Research Center. It was magnificent. What? Mr. Yoshihara Kawaura. I'd never had a gun pointed at me, but people held that gunpoint probably froze up, just like this. I am in need of your strength. Thus, I wish to employ your services, with whose 100,000 moles. There were 6 figures written on the check, placed in front of me. 4 years ago, I had only managed to earn 70,000 moles by basically shortening my lifespan. Faced with the sum, which easily surpassed that amount, I was at a loss for words. I looked at Eleanor, then over at Chris next to her. Chris looked at me with a very worried expression on her face. How about it? My gaze went back to Eleanor. Except my mind was completely blank, and I couldn't speak. How suddenly this happened was part of the reason why. To be honest, it wasn't because I was surprised by that amount of money. It was that I couldn't understand why someone like me was held in such high esteem. I mean, he is get the second point in contest. And I won like on the last day, what he tried to do isn't bad. I mean, it was, it can work. It didn't, but still. And then again, well, obviously he was in contest doing things with Hagana's help, but last thing he did, I believe, mostly by himself. Anyway, but then again, it didn't work, as well as didn't work with Barton. So it's another reason why he don't really believe in himself, I guess. After all, I had lost in that industry and then fled from it. Nowadays, I only deal with trivial data in government branch office, weeding out fraudulent welfare organization, finding complications. More than anything, I thought I wasn't qualified to ever return to that world. It was a place I shouldn't approach anymore after that utter failure. Actually, I just now I'm thinking. I kind of feel from one point of view, I kind of think he need a reason to be pushed and actually continue. But from an outside of view, I don't think it's gonna be good for him. I can't have a pressure, especially if it's gonna especially it's gonna be about another people and he and their well-beings. And right now he don't really concern about making money for himself, so not sure how he can be convinced. Anyway, Leonor waited very patiently for me to respond, but her gaze suddenly moved to the door. A murmuring of voices could be heard in the distance. It was probably the drugs on their way back. Okay, he gonna get some time. So I kinda interesting what's Chris told to her. Like, is he explain her situation or something like this? And also, if Eleanor explained to Chris why she's here, and if so, why Chris think it's good idea to actually introduce her to Haru. Anyway, I realize that this is quite the personal request. Cutting to the chase, this will be a repechage. Now, fortunately, I have a fair amount of capital and the support of the few individuals. Looked over at Chris upon saying that. Chris is one of those individuals, and according to her, you are quite amazing. Interesting. As Chris trying to do same thing as Hagana did before. I mean, helping with math or something like this. Was that why she asked me to come? But that was the me from 4 years ago. Even before I failed. It would be quite the boost in my forces if you were to come to our side. What say you? Leonora asked yet again, but I was on the verge of losing sight of who she was talking about. I couldn't even open my mouth to answer. All I could do was look away. While I was doing this, the voice of the drugs could be heard clearly through the door, so Eleanor stood up from her seat. Give me a moment. Sorry, closed the window. Anyway. We're a private placement fund. I believe it's quite a flexible system in this world, as we can use various methods allowing us to give lucrative incentives to those who assist. what exactly he's being doing. Um, ah, okay, too late. Can actually read it. Hmm. I just kind of interesting if it's somewhat connected with current Haru's work. Like, if they actually helping giving two facts to people in need, sort of like this. Hmm. I mean, I guess it's gonna be too convenient. Uh, Coincidence. Anyway, sparing no expenses. But I still couldn't respond. Um, I would have preferred to have much more formal conversation. However, there were taps and bugs along the beach laughter. They entered the room. Then this would be no place to speak. Let's just consider today as a first greeting. I shall take my leave. Eleanor gave a small bow after she got up, and with her slender, well, well-proportioned back strange stayed up, left out the front door. So, and now, well, obviously, if they continue to speak right now, are gonna be mm, not gonna agree to help her. So I feel that right now he should get some reason for actually helping. Hmm. It's casually followed after her right as the drums made their way into the church. There was a brief exchange of words, as the two parties had apparently run into each other. But not all of that made it to my ears. My eyes was gazing at the check for 100,000 moons. This was an award you could hold not just through diligence and small change. Doing a fabulous job as you nabbed on your cheap chicken sandwich at lunch. This check for 100,000 moons was both symbol of that investment world and a ticket into it. It was the world I admired, and also the one had been kicked out of. The world where genuine egotists ran rampant, whose vulgar, arrogant fools at the government branch office fluttering themselves around just couldn't compare to win. And, sorry. A wonderful world, where a reckless dream, such as amazing an astronomical sum of money to start on untrodden land was acceptable. And the world was made of nothing but things that were the exact opposite of tranquil. My mind swirled with the sensation of changing after ever changing numbers, the sense of thrill when my assumptions were correct, and the feeling of despair when I was wrong. My pulse quickened, my breath became shallow, and my pores expanded by the mere recollection of being of former sensation. I was so caught up in it all the time. Really was a lot of fun. But I had committed an irrevocable, enormous mistake. I could no longer go back to that world. There was no way I would ever be allowed to. I mean, hmm, he can return. Just obviously he too afraid to do it. My mouth suddenly felt itchy. When I touched it, I noticed it was blood from my nose. Investing. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to forget that word. I had been taken in, and subsequently crushed by Barton. I had escaped in a panic, and frightened. I had called myself up at that government branch office. There was no way someone like me could return to the world of investments. Yet, what was this excitement? What was this hunger I felt? Hmm, I actually want to return. Had I forgotten what I did 4 years ago? I lashed my chest, my head troubling painfully, hunched over my chair, I realized there was someone there. When I lifted my head up, I saw that it was Lisa. Except instead of the usual big sister like Lisa who worried about my well-being, she was looking down at me emotionlessly. Tom, you still haven't come to the terms with that happened 4 years ago, huh? So should I also know about this girl? I guess. Hmm. Said that with an awfully dry voice, before narrowing her eyes at the entrance. I'm not telling you to accept her request or anything, Tav. Then she looked at me. You need to take a good long look in the mirror. Saying that, he signed. Let's go somewhere quiet for now. She hoisted me up and let me her shoulder, carrying me into the church before the drunks came in. She couldn't appeal, unable to even speak a word of gratitude from the confusion and excitement. I took the wet towel and water Lisa brought. Lisa finally spoke after watching me wipe my nose and mouth and glug down the water. It's actually a church. I was worried about you always thinking about the past, and I think you need to come to the church with it. Without this would be necessary for that purpose. Am I being too noisy? And said that as she took my half-empty glass of water. Couldn't tell if she was being serious when she said that. Well, it's being noisy. But it wasn't me who had tried to get Eleanor to meet with you. Unable to open my mouth, I started to her eyes, as if to ask just who could have done such a thing. Well, obviously Chris. It was Chris. I seemed my sudden loss of breath, expressed my surprise to Lisa, all too well. Lisa held my hand gently, shaking it up and down slowly, as if she were encouraging one of her flock. She brought out that you weren't enough to bring you back to your senses. I think so too. However, Lisa then turned her gaze to the crucifix on the church wall. Having been by your side the most, Chris knows how much you've been blaming yourself all this time. That's why she sincerely wishes for you to come to the church with that happened 4 years ago. Check it on that. Peace of all people. Do you understand what that means? She was shy and timid. She would stop and think forever if she had even a little bit of apprehension. Everyone is probably everyone is probably moving forward. You're the only one not moving. Or rather, she turned her gaze back over to me and gave a dejected smile. You're the only one who still lost their way. I used to think that you'd get back on your feet on your own, but seeing you like that confirms what I've been thinking. You're doing nothing but fooling yourself. Am I wrong? I was leaning loud to help who's in need. That was truly the same goal as my genuine dream of staying on untrodden land, and I probably would have helped who's immigrants and never would mean deceiving Rihanna. But things had played off differently. Cloud rules and principles and pushed off the responsibility onto Rihanna. This was a devoted servant, being the habit of a sister, opening a church and taking in who had lost their way on the lower surface. There was no way she wouldn't realize my deceit. Of course, these eyes weren't angry. Despite that, I still couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes, instead casting my eyes down without thinking. It felt like I was a 5 years old kid, scared of his mouth all over again. It wasn't like I had hurt anyone during these last 4 years. I hadn't caused problems for all of it. Sorry. I hadn't caused problems for anyone. Even if my reason for staying low was just a pretext, Liz probably would not have said anything if it ended up still helping who's in need. However, I just lied to myself more than anyone else, desperately tightening the noose around my own neck. I'm a failure of a human. I'm a failure of a human. Those words just repeat over and over against in my mind. Aliza was the type of person who would not allow anyone to hurt ours, even if that hour was known by themselves. That was why Liza's eyes scared me. This was very kind and meddlesome. She only reached out to everyone, her two fools abandoned by everyone else on the lunar surface. Also, no matter how shameful something was, she would chuckle and accept everything. That's probably why I couldn't help but to look away. And that was also probably why she had been willing to accept the lie I had been telling these last 4 years. Filled with doubt and more pitiful than when I asked to lay my head in Liza's lap 4 years ago, I told her what I had wanted more than anything to tell someone. You're not good. Wait. I. Okay, she asked if she's wrong. I forget. Good. And with that, Lisa patted me on the head like I was a child. Also, you see, I tend to want to help people move forward, even if it's by force. That's because I'm a busybody. Well, Eleanor isn't a bad girl either. And she's telling the truth. She's the daughter of British family on Earth, and her company on the lunar surface was basically taken over. This must be gotten Eleanor to entrust you with such a big task because she has some sort of plan. While Chris doesn't want to help you move on, I think she had also sincere when she said she wants to borrow his strength. When Eleanor and Chris came to me about this thing today, that was one reason why I agreed with them. There is also one more realistic and important reason behind it. What more could there be? Look at Lisa, with half terrified eyes, but she paid no heed to me and continued speaking in a relaxed tone. By the way, Hal, do you know how this church is run? Hmm? I was completely dumbfounded by that. Lisa asked me with a somewhat malicious smile. But then she asked, the gears in my head began turning on their own. Her inquiry put quite a few questions in my mind. Geralt is getting quite a large salary, so he's contributing a fair bit. But there have been a lot of people coming in compared to back then. The expenses are also a lot higher. Donations aren't enough to cover these costs. And how did she manage to? And I recalled what Eleanor had said. Chris is also one of who's assisting. It can't be Chris's? That's right. She's been contributing. In the program Hagana left, she's been making money. Huh. I actually didn't expect it. Honestly, I completely forget about Hagana's program. Huh. Interesting. 4 years ago, Hagana and me worked together and made investments. Hagana had also created an investing program. It contained all of my skills in investing and deployed them automatically. Style of performing was so incredible, there had been nightmares about it at some point. If I didn't have everything stolen away by Barton, when I would have probably been able to save everyone in the 6th Outer District. But instead, Hagana disappeared, everyone was scattered, and I moved far away from the world investing like a dog burned by a stove. That's why I had completely forgotten. More precisely, I had forced it out of my head. But then Hagana had really gotten into it. She had consulted Chris on mathematical problems. Moreover, Chris was at least as talented as Hagana when it came to mathematics. This was definitely within the realm of his ability. In other words, she could very well have mastered that program, or had made some improvements to it. I told her to quit several times now. She was so captivated by it, like you were back then. I didn't listen. And it went disturbingly well, it seems. It's more a matter of her waiting to test her own abilities than being drowned in desires. So I wasn't really strict about it. And it's helping me out. So then, what reason was there for me to meet with Eleanor. I thought that, but then I realized the panic of genius girls with the equipment to make money, and a noble daughter who swore to get back the company stolen from her. Is succeeding Eleanor. She is increasingly Eleanor's in essence, and getting compensated for it. There is nothing in here. It's a lot. Taking the matter of money aside, I am still not sure if it should be stopping Chris. To be honest, I do believe that Chris is not motivated by greed. And it's not a bad thing that she having out Eleanor. The only real problem here would be Chris is still a teenager. Seems very difficult for her to say it like that. Of course, I know you don't magically turn into a full-fledged adult once you turn 20. And I'm also aware that she's more mature than most adults. But I'm still worried. Eleanor lives in a different world from the rest of us. An actual lady of wealthy family. Except her praying, didn't you? She does everything seriously. Do you understand what this means? It was quite convincing when someone like Liz said that. Her sharp gaze, unbefitting of your delicate figure, just recalling it sent chills down my spine. If Leonor takes Chris somewhere else, I know how upright she is, but I'm still worried about Chris. Chris isn't quite right. I've told you that you shouldn't lie to yourself. Sorry. I've told you that you shouldn't lie to yourself, so I should follow my own advice. I say it honestly. It's a pause before continuing. I have no legitimate reason to pull Chris away from Eleanor. I just can't take the thought of someone else going so far ahead like you and Hagana did, and ending up like that. It was unreasonable fear. In that case, I could see why she had me with Eleanor. So basically, you want me to watch over Chris. I'm ashamed to say it, but basically yes. But I failed. Why would someone like me? That's why. But exactly why. This is an amazing child. Looking at it from a broader perspective, I think she's more amazing than Hagana. But I don't think she's ever experienced having her hard work quite unrewarded in her entire life, unlike you and Hagana. If my face could move, I'd be laughing. I'm not being sarcastic. It's just that exactly why I'm afraid. I've had lots of failures myself, but it's true that there is a kind of prudence you can only gain by experiencing failure. I do want Chris to learn through her own mistakes. But being involved in place where you're dealing with huge sums of money, it's easy to make irrevocable mistakes. I don't think it's a place for a teenage girl to be. You also know that full well, don't you? Human lives were cheaper than money. In a short time, I spent with Hagana. I had come to learn that all too well. Also, Chris still has the about some things, but lately she is being having surprisingly sharp eyes at times. I know it might be selfish of me to be afraid of that and to just want cute kids to stay cute. That might be true. Yeah, I thought you'd agree with me. That's why I feel this is God's will. God's? Yes, I don't want you to continue living a life of lies. I don't want someone to watch over his sides just speeding ahead, unaware of the danger. Would you not believe this is a fate? But I am not suitable. The reply I was about to give was sealed by Liz's next words. And also Hal. I've been expecting Hagana to come back. But how about you? Aren't you thinking that? I gulped. If Hagana returned, what would she think if she saw me holed up in the government branch of us, studying the intricacies of the law? Hal, it might be possible to just keep lying to yourself, covering up your wounds for the rest of your life. But you know, you only get one life. There are a lot more people than you think who don't want you to live like that. Had nothing to say back to her. He rubbed her my cheek in the back of her fingers and smiled at me gently. Of course, I'm going to tell you to make your mind right here and now. Sorry, I'm not going to tell you to make up your mind right here and now. But think hard. Also, don't turn away. Is Anne following what she thinks? And decided to have you meet with Eleanor. She knows that memories from the past you're holding onto probably aren't better than I do. You know yourself, don't you, Hal? You knew that you might have gotten angry, or you might have a terrible spasm. She was aware that if either of those things happened, she might have never seen you again. This was definitely not a spur of the moment type of things. I recalled that worried expression of Chris' face. I thought she was just a simple girl who couldn't take a daring step, but she had grown up while I wasn't looking. That's true. That's right. People can stand still, but they can go forward, even if it's only a step at a time. That's the same with me, as well. Look at her as doubt to say, that's ridiculous. But Lisa gave a smile, a bright smile, as she shrugged. So, what will you do? Huh? This is probably still boring about it, but she has an extraordinary resolve. I'm going to call her. But how about you? Are you alright? Honestly, my mind was still a mess. I had spent these last 4 years going in the fear as I covered my head. There was no way I could suddenly stand up and start walking. Yet I wiped my nose and took a deep breath. Despite feeling so akin to dizziness, I also felt something similar to the refreshing feeling you had right after you woke up. Sorta. My nosebleed has at least stopped. I think you'd get a nosebleed from the excitement. That must have been intense. Even I think it's strange. Why? Is that so? Huh? Because it's just genuine passion, isn't it? Then rest your hand on her hip. I said that with a smile. Hmm. Or they continue conversation. They do. I just kinda a little uh waiting for ending because probably not same again start to a little struggle with reading. But I guess let's read this scene to the end. It's probably gonna stop after conversation with Chris. I mean, at least it's night, so I'm waiting for next day, I guess. Had the church been bigger, this would probably have never reached me. That's how heavy her steps were when she finally came up to me. She had been hesitant to even enter. So Lisa had ended up forcefully pushing her inside, closing the door right afterwards. She was timid, and thought she did some reckless stuff. Some might say that was because she was young. It startled me. When I said that, he scored as if my words had startled her. I'm not angry, and I didn't have an episode. I rested the corners of my mouth with my fingers. He smiled awkwardly at my smiling face, except unlike the Chris from the past, she didn't look away. When did Lisa say that you drop it if Lisa got mad? He pursed her lips for a moment and looked away. She then gazed at me pretty intensely. She wouldn't say that. If I couldn't move my face, I probably wouldn't be able to refrain from smiling. It was the same as usual. Who said that she was angrier at me than at you? Huh? She said if you didn't do this, then I would probably remain entangled in my own lies. So then? But I can't get on board right away with just that. This time, I was the one looking away. I really am afraid of that word. I don't even feel like trying to get revenge on Barton. He was the man who had stolen everything from us. But I couldn't even despise him for it. I should despise him. But I had been hurt by none other than myself. But it's also true that after hearing Eleanor's story, I felt the excitement that word used to give me for the first time in a while. So much that it gave me a nosebleed. I think I still love it, even now. But what happened then was just too dramatic. I was opening and closing my right hand as I spoke. I had no idea if a spell would come when I talked about this. However, in spite of that worry, my head was still supple and warm. Said you're using Hagan's program. Upon being asked that, Chris really did shrink. I'm not angry. I said it almost without thinking. I'm simply amazed. Bewildered, Evan. Charles said that his church is able to run thanks to that, right? Yeah. But she said you're not doing it to make money. Yeah. She said she wanted someone to watch over you, so you're not swallowed up by that word and end up like me or Hagana. Chris didn't answer. I have no qualms with that. I prefer that not many people have to experience that. Being in that predicament, having to pray to some imaginary god. Feeling like you were about to piss your pants as your vision grew narrow and your mouth became a desert. I somehow felt that these parts out were road to Jesus Christ, hanging in the back of the church, so I inwardly apologized. Also, you might lose things that are important to you. There will be times where you will be forced to put out everything. Of course, I may think that you won't screw up like I did. I don't I don't think that. Yeah, actually, this is kinda really cute. Hmm. I was thinking I'm a little liked her a little more in the first episode, but she's actually still cute. Anyway, this is word. There's been president with Hagana and me. Also, if you're doing so investing just to contribute to the church, then you'll be able to do it with just your house seed money. Please, there's reason you're not doing it like that, right? Chris went silent and dropped her head. That surprised me a little. I couldn't imagine a reason that would be hard to talk about at this point. Hmm? Is it for Eleanor? Chris hesitantly shook her head at my guess. Ah, interesting. I can see tourism. Maybe she somehow think it's gonna help Haru, but I don't exactly see how. Or maybe she actually wanted to help people who lost everything by tracing their money to Haru. I mean, just thinks why he don't wanted to. He did hesitate to talk with Haru about. Yeah, I guess. When she stopped, Chris slushed her head like she was tilting it, pressed her lips together tightly, and then looked up. Looking at that troubled face, I felt intense pressure. She wasn't going to say she was trying to save everyone from back then by working with this rich girl, was she? I just couldn't laugh that off as being impossible. 4 years ago, when I was at the same age as Chris, I was absolutely serious stuff, right to the very absolute tips of my hairs, that I could be richest person ever and go where no man had gone before. Biting down on her bottom lip, acknowledging her quivering face, Kristen spoke. Hal, thank you for that brush. Hmm? Huh? I'll make good use of it for the rest of my life. It was like she was saying farewell. When I thought that, he then looked straight at me and spoke honestly. I want to become like Barton. Oh, okay, it's definitely not what I expected to hear. Pretty sure not what Haru expected to hear. Hmm. And really interesting. If she really want to become like Barton, or if she trying to say it for helping Haru. Um. Anyway, I wasn't able to grasp the meaning of those words for a moment. I want to become like Barton. He said it once again, with tears in the corner of her eyes, before taking a deep breath. I believe I know exactly what I'm saying, but it's true. That's the only way I can think to express what I want to say. I thought I was insane or delusional so many times. But, but, that's the only way I can think of it. I want to live life really like that. Couldn't put the words together. And my breathing had become irregular. But he was stuttering these words as if she was sobbing convulsively. But it was you who made me start thinking like that. His beautiful eyes looked straight at me. The color of her eyes, in wet tears, was something close to aquamarine. Conviction, drive, methods and action. Not caring if anyone tells you this or that. Not yielding just because someone believed something else. You were so amazing moving forward, like an unstoppable force. I still remember that the impact you had on me back then. When I learned that you wanted a cut from the money you earned using what my father had entrusted you with. The reason I unconsciously scratched my nose was because of my earlier nosebleed. It wasn't just because I felt nostalgic about that happened. It was because I had a sensation like there was blood dripping somewhere inside my head. It said that my nosebleed was from my passion, my unwavering conviction and passion in my decisions back then. At that time, it felt like my soul was being siphoned out. I couldn't even imagine that there really were people who would say something like that. Part was shocked and confused, but I became fascinated by that moment. I wanted to be like that, and then Chris rubbed her eyes with her sleeve without even taking off her glasses properly and rubbed her nose. But, you had, after that, ended up in this miserable state. Chris was worried that I throw my feet or be worried, but I said it in a relaxed tone, so she nodded. That nod was quite bold, especially going from Chris. But Barton was different. I've been researching him all this time. I was wondering that kind of person could do something so terrible, so incredible. Looking it up, I wasn't able to find a lot, but I found bits and pieces. All of them incredible. Some amazing could tremble. I hated myself for only trying hard for someone else, because everyone was cheering me on, or for my father's sakes. But I'm not saying that I had my father. That's not it. Chris had repeatedly wiped her eyes, but may have been more because she hated how confused she felt than to wipe away her tears. Also, I don't like money. I don't even want to be thrown around by it like that kid. So this time, I want to be the one throwing it around. Also, I want to live as I please. Then she managed to say these words. The only sound echoing through the church were Chris' sobs. I had no idea what to say. If she said this to anyone else, they'd say it was funny. As I had seen her hard work with my own two eyes, I just couldn't say something like that. No matter how much I looked at my right hand, it showed no signs of stiffening. Wanting to live the way they liked. Not caring about who's around them and only looking at what's ahead. I knew that feeling very well, peacefully well. I repeated those words, clutching my right hand. But I knew full well, painfully so, but I was no longer like that. So that's why you need all that capital, right? The gains from investments, up until point, simply increased proportionally to the funds you were using. You ended up with very different amount depending on how large your initial funds were. Meaning, you couldn't compare that Eleanor had with what Gerald saved up. And that was most important, was being the spearhead of Eleanor's investment banking. Not as an amateur, but as a professional belonging to that world. However, I thought something especially peculiar in Chris' confession. I did believe that Barton was amazing, and for a while I looked up to him as a mentor. Yet, this was how I had ended up. I thought that was the end for me, but I didn't even imagine that there were people who were looking up to me at that time and seeing that I had done. So why ask me to work for Eleanor? That's... If it's about the program, then I'm not sure how much I can help, and I'm not being modest or putting myself down here. If you don't use your skills for 4 years, they'll be wither, just like muscles. But this was mumbling. She must have had another reason. Thinking that, I've continued talking. Is there something else? I mean, we know what she has crush on Haru. From between her tear-soaking sleeves, she spoke. Her face had become red at some point. Because Miss Hagana. Hmm? What about her? Ah, yes? I was jealous of Miss Hagana. Chris then hid her face in her sleeves. Looking into Chris' shaggy blonde hair, had to let out small sigh. Being loved by someone was really pleasant. But when you were aware of that, you couldn't respond to whose expectations. There was nothing worse. I can't be like I was in the past, even if you invite me along. I know, but still, I'm happy that you invited me along. Ugh. Really? When thought I knew I was saying something quite cruel, I didn't try to sugarcoat it. This had crossed that ambiguous line that had been between us up until then. But Hakana was very much still in my heart. Deep down, that most precious part of me, beside that girl in black. So where did you meet? I feel that continuing any further would just hurt Chris, so I abruptly changed the subject. Eleanor? Chris didn't respond for a little bit, but she finally spoke after rubbing her face with her sleeve once more. It was almost a year ago. Between my studies, I was looking up some things about the contest from back then, and then I chanced upon someone who had a lock of it on a message from a formal line. And that someone was Eleanor? Yes. I started it, and we began talking about various things. It was mostly about investing stuff. While she spent time studying, she divided up that time and forward to learn investing. I felt like there was no way we could be part of the same species. Hal, huh? You're almost like a missing person in that world. He was speaking uneasily, with her eyes turned up towards me, and I found myself slightly dumbfounded as we sighed. I am? Yes, the person who won contest back then has since then become an incredible person. But even if you lost, you'd be able to chase after him. So you must be as well. That's what they say. Yes, so as I mentioned before, there is obviously people know about him taking second place in the contest. Anyway, if I were to believe that Barton said, the winner of that contest was a super elite raised on Earth. He said that there were many of the leaderboard who went off to make their mark in the world of finance. I was more surprised and so disappointed than happy knowing it was about so much. Was it really that easy? Was that all it took? So because of that, 100,000 moles. There was a reason behind why Eleanor wanted to enlist me. At least. Finding a guy with an MBA from a good university, but no achievements and hiring him in your investment bank, and then throwing some money at him. On top of that, you'd had any way to gauge his abilities beforehand. Then 100 grand was a bit on yeah, I don't know what. Um, was a pittance. I mean, I can guess. Anyway, it might just be that simple. That was indeed very much like that word. In the silence that came after, I ran toward the conversation. It was too intense for me, as I pretty much had my head stuck in the mud thinking for the last 4 years. But for some reason, my mood was surprisingly pleasant, and then I started bleeding through my nose, as if a blood clot had cleared from my brain. It was probably from me hurling out all my indecisiveness. Closed my eyes and took a deep breath. No matter how many times I searched through my memories, the first thing that came up was always the same. When Chris said, I want to live a free life. I didn't die that over the last 4 years. Where did I really want to go? I was fooling myself. I want to know, did you tell me everything because it's a part of your dream? Did you want to tell someone all that you had on your mind? Or is it because you're in front of that bearded guy? Hmm? Ah, him. You meant Jesus Christ? Hey, okay. That's not it. Then it probably wouldn't matter. If I watched over you or not. Then live like you want if you're listening to someone else. Um, but even so. Maybe want to watch someone go forward from the sidelines, like that. I no longer had my dream from back then. All I had left was looking back and saying that it had been fun. My goal was lost. I was left only with methods. But after that shock, strong enough to cause me a nosebleed, I had come to realization before Lisa, who was kind yet I was scarier. I was scarier than my mother. And without a goal, I still loved these methods as much as I used to. All I had to do was imagine that Lisa said, alongside what Hagana would think if she saw me now. Holed up in that government branch office, bound by rules and principles, and desperately protecting myself with lies, she would surely be disappointed in me. Yet, if she saw me hanging around in the world of investment without any resentment towards Barton, still draining the mistake I made and without a speck of a dream left in me, she'd probably let out a digestive sigh and ask, are you an idiot? Which way should I follow to have a chance to apologize to her for brushing her hand away? And which way would make it so that she lend an ear to my apologies? Hmm. In this case, I already knew the answer. Acknowledging your past mistakes and refuting your past self were two different things. If I thought about it like that, then it would be one of the greatest thrills as to be Chris side watching that enormous dream of hers unfold. So grand, yet still hiding away within that little youth body. It seemed that regardless of that I said, I'm still half terrified, but also in half in love with that word. I scratched my nose, which had been bleeding from the excitement. I stood up with my crutch. Chris looked at me in a daze, maybe because she was exhausted after crying so much. He said this must be the will of God. Well, I think so too. I said it while opening and closing my right hand. Also, I might make button again if I return to that word. Huh? Then, that means not that I want to murder him or anything. Oddly enough, sorry. There's something I'd like to ask him. Something to ask him? I really did think I'd never get a chance to. I moved as I rubbed my face. Don't tell Lisa. It'll worry her. Ah, yes. When... Of course I won't tell her about you. Also, with my poker face, Lisa won't suspect me of anything. He finally smiled awkwardly after I said that while piercing my own cheeks. Also, that brush, you don't need to treasure it for the rest of your life. Huh? I'll give you an hour when it breaks. I said that while driving up Chris' hair, and she puffed out her cheeks as she brushed my hand away. I'll buy it myself, exactly the same one. I pushed out the corners of my mouth and walked off. Chris also stood up and opened the door of the church for me. I expected Lisa to be listening in, so I looked down the corridor to the left and right, but it seems she hadn't. She was very meddlesome, but when it mattered, she was adamant about things being proper to the point of fastidiousness. Because of that, the situation 4 years ago went sour. But also probably because of that, I had never once thought that her decision was wrong. I thought this is the moon. Huh? She asked me to repeat what I had muttered, but I didn't respond. I thought this was the moon. It was just like Earth a century ago. People could never be rational. I went to the kitchen. The people there were making a fuss, and before the start of the day, as Lisa handled things. As I looked at them, I thought maybe this wasn't so bad after all. Ian said it was unfortunate that Mars filled the lunar surface. I feel that was exactly right. Is it already time skip or not? Okay, let's study a little. If hesitating helped reach a conclusion, then I would hesitate all the way through. Not yet. But even in investing, merely hesitating produced nothing. I'll probably do it. I said as I passed by Lisa, as she was handling the drinking party after my conversation with Chris. As she poured open drinks and brought out simple dishes, all Lisa did was smile happily at me. Her eyes told me to come back here if things didn't work out. Except I did at least run a search on Eleanor. From this, I found out that a small investment bank managed to buy descendant of a noble had been severely damaged by a trader's mistake and ended up being bought on. Normally, that wouldn't even have made a right up, but a noble last hobby company of the moon being crushed would make for a bit of gossip here. It could have been because Eleanor, the largest shareholder in charge of the company, was young and pretty. The face in the photo was a prim and composed face, but it was Eleanor herself. I made up my mind. I sent Chris an email. Except I made sure to stress to Chris that, depending on the terms of the contract, there was a chance I might still refuse. Even if my present lifestyle was the result of me lying to myself, it was as if everything would vanish if I just snapped my fingers. Just like Lisa had said, the connection with people would still be there. Even if my parents did not show it openly, I understood clearly that They were still quite happy that their foolish son somehow got into college and was staying in love. Mm, Still continuing. 4 years ago, I had been nothing but rebellious, but I had since then been able to come to understand my parents' feelings. Okay, actually, give me one moment then. There's one thing that I'm worried about. I need to re-upload video for uh, for Boosty reaction. It just I was thinking about everything ready, but today I realized what it has really quiet. So I was fixing the sound, but just think this video should be published in 20 minutes from now uh, for schedule. So let me start uploading it. Anyway, continue. Also, after I said I was a work scholarship student, my parents had looked after me while I studied. Moreover, I had been far too selfish, and I came back home with more failures than I could carry. So I couldn't even allow myself to believe that it was a given for parents to that much. Ah, sorry. It was a given for parents to watch after their kids. And even so, my my parents still took me back in. If I sat on with Eleanor, I'd probably be able to repay them for my living expenditures and everything else in one lump sum with interest. But if they had high hopes for me, then and only for their form, I should go ahead and graduate. He said she didn't want to be someone who had to answer to whose types of expectations of her. It was like I didn't understand her, but it was just difficult for me to ignore that with how I was now. I thought this to myself as I stood at missed hours doing my morning commute. Okay, so it is actually already morning. I will. I was kind of hoping we get more clear meaning between days. I mean, it makes sense what here can think right now, but yeah, I guess let's stop here. Hmm, yeah, let's finish here. I'm yeah, still a little struggling with reading. I don't know. As you know, for some reason, sometimes I'm struggling, sometimes I'm not. Well, usually I am. Um, I mean, because today I think I'm a little cold or something like this, and I kind of find it a little bit hard to breathe through my nose. But anyway, it's not like super important. And then again, we read for quite a while, already hour and 40 minutes. That's actually not that bad for in time. But yeah, anyway, let's finish for today. So next World and Economic Stream gonna be on Saturday. But for now, goodbye. Have a nice one of the day.